Hi everyone and welcome to another video. Today I want to show you some of the beautiful products of the Altenew August release. This video is part of the August release hop, so you have a chance to win some of the products by commenting on this and all the other videos in the hop. And I've linked them all in the video caption for you. Today I'll use the Bright Bloom layering die set, another one of their single flower layering die sets. And you know me, I of course also have to use the August Mini Delight. This is such an amazing travel themed set. I think in the full August release there's also a suitcase set that goes really well along with this, but I'm not going to use this because I want the Mini Delight to stand on its own. Oh, and with this flex calligraphy pen set, you're really in for a treat. Those make hand lettering super easy and I'll show you in a minute, but first let's get started with the Bright Bloom die set. You can of course cut it from an all white cardstock and then ink it in later, but I wanted to try kind of a hybrid solution, so I'm choosing a yellow cardstock and then still go in with a dark ink to give it some dimension. And one thing I really like about the Altenew single flower die sets is their simplicity. There are only a few dies to each set, so you don't get overwhelmed and the product or the result is still absolutely beautiful. So for the sunflower you just have one die for the petals and 3 tiny ones for the flower center, which I will cut in a dark brown. Oh, and off camera I actually decided to add another shade of brown. Oh, and I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Altenew actually changed their packaging design. So now all dies are stuck to an extra sheet of acetate inside the die set. And you know exactly where to put them because their shape is outlined on the piece of acetate. Okay, now back to my actual die cuts. I have placed the whole cardstock inside my stamp wheel just to keep the petals from moving and to protect my sticky mat. And since I don't have any brown inks, I'm using the darkest shade of yellow that I have. And I'm trying to create a color gradient from a dark flower center to a lighter tip of the petals, which I think worked out okay. And now I can remove the petals from the cardstock, see how it looks, and put the flower together. And as all single flower layering die sets, this is also designed after the keyhole system. So you just have to follow the direction of the small little keyholes in the centers to perfectly put your flower together every time. And this is what my finished sunflower looks like. Absolutely gorgeous, right? Okay, and now for the card base. Today I want to show you a simple but really fancy card fold. To make it, you'll need a base that is 3 times as long as it is wide. Since I'm starting with a DIN A4 sheet of cardstock, the biggest strip with these dimensions is 9.9 by 29.7 centimeters. And then divide your strip with score lines into thirds. So you have to score every 9.9 centimeters, or at 9.9 centimeters from both sides, depending on how you prefer to score. Next, I'm gonna fold and burnish those 2 score lines. And I'm using my bone fold to do all the burnishing, but you can just as well use your fingernail. Oh, and by folding over, you can also check if you set your score lines correctly. Because when folded in, the edge of your cardstock should lie precisely on top of the other score line. Once everything is folded and burnished, we need to set 2 more score lines. But since these are diagonal, I like to use my ruler for that instead of my scoring board. So with the help of my ruler, I'm connecting the 2 diagonally opposing corners of the outer squares. And these 2 diagonal score lines are parallel to each other. Now fold the first square in again, and fold and burnish the diagonal score line on it. So you turn the whole side part into a triangle instead of a square. And now just repeat the same thing with the other side. So fold the side square in, fold over the triangle and burnish. And now the overall shape of your card should be a square again. You can open the card by pulling the 2 opposing corners. And I think this really puts the fun in fun fold, because I think this is just such a fun opening. Now to decorate the card, I have prepared a square piece of brown cardstock. I wanted it to be smaller than the card to have kind of a frame around it, so this square is 7 by 7 centimeters. When gluing down any decoration to this kind of card, you always have to make sure to just glue it to one of the front triangles. If you'd glue it to both, you'd glue your card closed for good. And halfway through, I actually decided I didn't want any glue passing the center line of the card because I wanted to use a banderole. So I just used a leftover strip of brown cardstock and wrapped it around my card, fixing it with just a little bit of glue at one end. And if you want to recreate this card and also want to use a banderole, let me tell you, wait until the glue has dried. Because I didn't and it kept opening up later. Oh, and another great tip is to only loosely fold it around your card. If it's too tight, you and the recipient might have a tough time getting it off later. Anyway, I slid the banderole beneath the square on the front of my card and then added an even smaller white cardstock square on top of the brown square. And now finally my sunflower has its time to shine. I placed it in the center of my white square to see how it looks, and then to actually glue it down I used a tiny bit of foam tape just to elevate it a little. It's really just a tiny detail, but I think it makes all the difference. Just make sure your piece of foam tape is small enough so it won't show in the front between the petals of the flower. Okay, and now the only thing that's missing on this card is a sentiment. Since there really wasn't a lot of space left for one, I decided to go in with a white acrylic pen and write directly on the brown frame. And don't ask me why, but it really felt like an oh happy day card, so I just wrote that on. And this is the final card. You can open it by sliding off the banderole and then pulling along the corners. And again, I think this is such a fun way to open the card, and it also offers a lot of space to write in. And if you wanted to, you could even decorate the inside triangles of this card, which could make it even more special when opening it. As I said in the beginning, I also wanted to use the August Mini Delight, so I prepared the same card shape with the same measurements, just with a white cardstock. And then prepared this beautiful earth stamp from the Enjoy the Flight Mini Delight. And I mean, I could have stamped it in just one color, but I wanted to try something special. So I pulled out my Altenew stamp wheel again, placed a clean piece of white cardstock inside it, positioned the stamp, and then picked it up with the cover of the stamp wheel. Oh, and one thing you have to keep in mind when using the stamp wheel and turning around the cover part with the stamp is that when the stamp faces you, it will be upside down. Which was important here for what I'm doing next, because I wanted to give the stamp kind of a sunset color gradient, and I wanted to go it from dark blue at the top to light orange or yellow at the bottom. And in this position, I actually had to do it the opposite way. So dark blue at the bottom and light orange or yellow at the top. Because when I stamp it, it will be the other way around again. I hope this made sense. I guess I could have just turned around the stamped image if I had done it wrong, but I really wanted it to be in this position. Anyway, I did kind of do some ink blending on the stamp itself, and I think it turned out okay. But I have to admit, I think it looked way better on the stamp itself. I have no idea why it looked different, but I think the result was fine anyway. But let me know what you think, and also tell me if you have ever tried this. And if you did, do you have some tips for me? Anyway, after stamping, I fuzzy cut the stamped image. I guess if you have the right sized circle die cut, you could also die cut it. But if I'm being honest, I was just too lazy to look for one, so I just fuzzy cut it. For this card, I also wanted to use a banderole. It's just an easy way to keep the card closed. But this time I learned from my past mistake and made the banderole before I glued down any decoration. But again, for this, I didn't measure anything. I just took any scrap strip of cardstock I had lying around. And then I just eyeballed where to cut it to perfectly wrap my card. I fixed it with a little bit of glue and it was finished. Well, kind of. Because then I decided plain white cardstock was just too boring for this. And I wanted to add some color to it. So I inked it in the same colors I used for the stamp. So I again created a color gradient from dark blue to purple to pink to yellow. I think this is such a cool atmospheric color combination. And please tell me that I'm not the only super clumsy crafter. I just keep throwing things around and coloring my own fingers. But I mean, it's okay as long as the craft projects turn out okay, right? Anyway, I think the banderole turned out okay, so I slid it back in place on my card. And then I placed the stamped image on the center of my card just to see how it looks. Next, I pulled out the Mini Delight die set, which is this beautiful plain die. And I wanted it to be a fancy plane. So yes, I cut its wings from pink and purple cardstock. My plane, my color choices. Next, I marked the position of my world stamp on my card, which helped me add the glue precisely where I needed it. So again, on only one of the front triangles, and far enough from the banderole so I won't glue that down too. Then I also added my plane, and then I also needed a sentiment. And don't get me wrong, there are beautiful sentiments in the Mini Delight stamp set. But I really wanted to show you this calligraphy pen set. It has a really nice flexible pen tip, which allows you to easily do beautiful hand lettering. I mean, if you haven't done it before, you'd still need a bit of practice, but it's actually a really good pen to practice with. If you want to check it out, I've linked it in my video description, along with all the other products I've used in this video. And yeah, these are my two final cards, and I hope you enjoyed this card making tutorial. If you did, please leave me a like and subscribe to my channel.